Hey, good morning, church. I pray all is well with you today on this Friday morning, uh, and getting ready to start a new book in our daily Bible reading. We're continuing the study through the minor prophets. We're going to be reading the book of Obadiah. Uh, Now, Obadiah is actually the shortest book in all the Old Testament. However, there's some good stuff here. Now, the first thing as you begin studying this book, you need to notice the very first line in chapter 1 when it says, "This is a vision of Obadiah. Thus says the Lord concerning Edom." Now, the nation of Eden, or the people of Eden, that comes from Esau. And now Jacob and Esau were brothers, twins, and you had Jacob and Esau. That lineage became the Edomites, and so when it's talking about Edom, it's talking about the people that came from Esau. Now, they were on the southern border of Judah. Just in our last book, we were talking about Israel and Judah, and so the Edomites were on the southern border of Judah. And so you've got these two nations that are kind of beside each other. There's a border between them. And you've got Judah and you've got Edom, or the Edomites, that are beside each other. Now, the Edomites, or Edom, were very strong, rough, hard people. They were warriors. They were fighters. And they lived in caves and treacherous land, up in mountains and in hills, and felt very protected, and they're very tough group of people. And so as you read that, as you read this book and this vision, you'll see that you'll picture it in your head that this is the group of people he's talking about. Now, you'll also notice that this judgment, or this prophecy that's going on to the Edomites, is about protecting Judah, and because of what they've done to Judah, or Jacob's lineage. And so you'll notice in verse number 3, it says, "The pride of your heart has deceived you." Actually, whenever I read that, I had to underline it. The pride of your heart has deceived you. I thought, it's so interesting. I wonder how many people, their heart is being deceived by pride. But they probably don't even know it, because the pride in their heart won't let them know that they're being deceived. And so God calls it out to the Edomites that their pride that they have among who they are has deceived them. And he calls it out first thing inside this book. And then at the very end of that same verse, notice it says, "You will say to your heart, who will bring me down to the ground?" So he says, your pride in your heart says, hey, there's no one that can bring me down. But then as you read this chapter, you'll see that God says, no, I'm going to bring you down. And it's going to be God that's going to do this. I would ask you to jump on over to verse number 10. And it says, "For violence against your brother Jacob." Now, remember I told you about the Judah and Jacob. So he actually goes back to Jacob and Esau. It says, "For violence against your brother Jacob shame shall cover you." And so because of the violence that they're bringing against Judah, their shame shall cover them, and you shall be cut off forever. God is saying, hey, if you're going to come against my people, God is going to cut them off forever. And jump down to verse number 15. "For the day of the Lord shall come upon you, come upon all nations. As you have done, it shall be done to you." God is saying, you done this to Judah, it's going to come back to you. "For reprisal shall return upon your own head." And God says, you, at the very beginning, hey, you wonder who's going to bring you down? No one can bring you down. God says, I'm going to bring you down, and I'm going to do exactly what you've been doing to my people. Now, to me, I take some joy, or some some comfort in that, knowing that God protects his children. Yeah, we're going to go through hard times. There's going to be difficulty, but God still protects us. And as Paul said, hey, if the worst thing that could happen is somebody could take my life, and then I'm in the glory with God. So praise be to God, whether I'm here or whether they take my life. But anyway, I hope you enjoy this study of Obadiah. Uh, and look forward to seeing you Sunday morning, and may God bless.